What if I told you that one simple change to your cat's bowl could transform their health, their mood, and even how long they live? Today, we're talking about wet food, and what it actually does to your cat when you feed it every single day. Some of it will surprise you. Some of it might even make you feel a little guilty. Let's get into it. If you're a cat parent, you've probably stood in that pet food aisle staring at a wall of options thinking, dry food? Wet food? Both? What does my cat actually need? Most people default to dry kibble. It's cheap. It's convenient. You pour it in the bowl and walk away. Done. But here's what a lot of cat owners don't know, and what vets have been quietly saying for years. Cats were never designed to eat dry food as their main meal. Not even close. And when you switch to wet food every day, the changes that happen inside your cat's body are remarkable. 1. The hydration game changer. Let's start with the biggest one. Hydration. Your cat is a desert animal by nature. Their ancestors got almost all of their water from the prey they hunted, raw meat, birds, small rodents. That food was roughly 70% water. Dry kibble is about 10% water. Maybe less. Here's the scary part, cats have a very low thirst drive. Unlike dogs, they don't feel thirsty the same way. So if they're eating dry food all day and barely touching their water bowl, they could be chronically dehydrated without you ever knowing. And chronic dehydration in cats leads directly to kidney disease, which is the #1 killer of cats over the age of 7. Now, wet food is about 75 to 80% moisture. That means every single meal is hydrating your cat from the inside out. Vets who switch cats to daily wet food often see kidney stress markers drop. Urinary crystals clear up. Cats who had repeat UTIs. Many of them stop getting them entirely. Just from food. 2. Weight, muscle, and energy. Here's something that shocks a lot of people. You'd think wet food, being softer and richer, would make your cat fat, right? Actually, it's the opposite. Most dry cat foods are packed with carbohydrates and plant-based fillers. Cats don't need carbs. They're obligate carnivores, meaning their entire system runs on protein and fat. When you load them up on carbs, their bodies store it as fat. That's why so many indoor cats are overweight. It's not because they're lazy. It's because of what's in the bowl. Wet food is typically high in protein, moderate in fat, and low in carbs, which is exactly what a cat's body is built for. When cats eat daily wet food, owners start noticing their cat getting leaner, more muscular, and more active. That lazy sluggish cat that sleeps 20 hours a day. Suddenly they're chasing toys, jumping higher, acting like a kitten again. Because they're actually fueled properly. 3. What happens to their organs? When a cat eats dry food every day for years, the kidneys are working overtime trying to pull moisture from everywhere they can just to process that food. Over time they get worn down. But it doesn't stop there. The urinary tract, the bladder, the digestive system, all of it is under more stress than it should be. Here's the emotional truth, most cats don't show signs of illness until they're already pretty sick. They're stoic creatures. They hide pain. They carry on. By the time you notice something's wrong, the weight loss, the hiding, the change in litter box habits, damage has sometimes been building for years. Daily wet food gives their internal organs the environment they need to actually function the way nature intended. It's not a miracle cure. But it's one of the most powerful and affordable forms of preventive care you can give your cat. 4. Behavior and emotional changes. A lot of cats on dry-only diets are constantly grazing, nibbling all day, never quite satisfied. That's because kibble doesn't give them the same satiety signal that protein-rich wet food does. When you start feeding wet food daily, something interesting happens. Cats become calmer around mealtimes. Less anxious. Less vocal. Less demanding. They eat their meal. They feel full. They're satisfied. And there's something beautiful about that, seeing your cat genuinely content after a meal instead of circling your ankles 20 minutes later begging for more. Mealtimes also become a bonding ritual. You open that can, your cat comes running, not out of desperate hunger, but out of anticipation and routine. That connection matters more than people realize. 5. Practical advice. Don't go cold turkey overnight. Transition slowly. Start by mixing a small amount of wet food in with their dry, then gradually shift the ratio over 1 to 2 weeks. Look for wet foods where the first ingredient is a named protein, chicken, salmon, turkey. Not meat byproducts. Not poultry meal. Real identifiable protein. Avoid wet foods loaded with gravy thickeners and carrageenan. Stick to pâtés or chunk-in broth options with minimal additives. And yes, you can still give a small amount of dry food if your cat loves it. Some vets recommend a mostly wet diet with occasional dry as a treat or dental supplement. The goal is balance, but with wet food as the foundation. Your cat cannot tell you when something feels off. They can't tell you they're thirsty, or that their kidneys ache, or that they haven't felt like themselves in months. But you can choose what goes in their bowl. And that choice is one of the most powerful things you'll ever do for them. If this video made you look at your cat's food a little differently, good. That's the whole point. Drop a comment below. Are you currently feeding wet food, dry food, or both? And if you found this helpful, share it with another cat parent who needs to see it. There's a new video dropping this week on the worst ingredients hiding in popular cat foods. Trust me, you'll want to catch that one. Until then, take care of your cat. They're counting on you.